I'm Billy the Biker, and I'm chatting with Staxx, whether you like it or not.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Billy the Biker. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Before I say anything you ask me, I have an alibi for, and Joe O'Connor's my lawyer, so be careful what you say. I'm good, man.
Oh,
How are you?
we're online, bro. So
Well,
whatever you
thanks for having
say,
me on
just
this
remember,
opportunity.
whatever you
Thanks.
say can be held and used against you.
It always has. I got a
Right?
7-page rap sheet to prove it.
So how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. So for the people that don't know who you are, you've been on a couple of interviews. You were on Ambix. Shout out to Ambic. We were both on Ambix.
Yes.
Alumni,
So,
right?
guarantee this one's gonna be better.
You think?
I think so. Yeah, because I got a lot of questions that I wanted to talk about. They were never asked. So I felt like I was rushed. This way, I'm gonna sit back and relax. Anything I said wrong, you can edit, right?
Yeah.
Anything incriminating, that'd be good.
So where were you born and raised?
I was born out in Queens Village, right near Creedmoor, the mental hospital, about 6 blocks away.
And what was your
Appropriate.
early life like?
I tell you what, I can't believe I had all the problems I did in jail time, and because I had a nice childhood. I grew up in Queens. My grandfather was one of Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders. He was a captain in the military with his own horse. He rode with Teddy. I got pictures downstairs, and I had no reason to get being such a mess. Because of him, I got into bikes. He had me on his 1923 Indian Chief bike when I was 5.5 years old. I straddled the tank. He took me around the block a couple of times, and I fell in love. So, and the vibration, and women, I understand what you do now. The vibration of that bike, I just fell in love with that bike, man. So I just kept on going. And every other Sunday, we'd go polish his car. A 1957 black on black Buick Special Roadmaster, gorgeous car. He got me into a lot of that cool stuff.
So you're growing up in the city, basically, right?
Yeah, Queens when it was nice. Nothing like it's nice now.
Yeah, now it's a third world country there.
Shit it is.
It's insane. When did you get your first bike? Are you riding like dirt bikes and things like that early on?
I did both. I got the first bike I rode after my grandfather was I was 15 years old. My friend's brother. We moved to Levittown, Long Island when I was 6. So I grew up in Levittown in Nassau County when used to be potato fields. A lot of people know that. So my friend's brother used to work on bikes, for customers. And what he did was he let me and his brother ride the bikes that he was working on around the neighborhood. We had no helmets, we didn't give a shit. It was 19, I was born in 49, so whatever it was. We started riding and
About 64 or something.
something like that. I used to be I'm good with math, but only grams, ounces, and kilos, nothing else. So we started riding around the neighborhoods and stuff, and I just fell in love. The first time I kicked the bike over, he didn't tell me about retarding the spark. So he just said, start the bike. I kicked the bike. I was about 120 pounds if I was lucky. It flipped me over the bike and I landed about 5 feet ahead of the bike, flat on my ass. Fell in love. I said, holy shit, this is going to be a lot of fun, man. So I started doing that.
Yeah, you always remember the first time you rode a bike.
You remember a lot of the first stuff. And despite of the 2 strokes I had, I remember it all. It was a lot of fun. Levittown was a nice place to grow up. It was easy going. My parents never had that much money, but it started with my grandfather. He had me shooting pool when I was 10 years old, and my grandmother would come downstairs and give me a glass of May wine. You probably heard of that before.
Yeah.
So I'm shooting pool and drinking wine at 10 years old. It doesn't get much better than that to grow up.
It was a different
And
time.
that, you didn't tell me you shouldn't. So then we moved to Long Island. We didn't have that much money. My father worked all the time. My mother worked in Philip Morris cigarette place. So he built me in the backyard. He put a hoop on a chain on a shed. He built a high jump bar, that you could also pole vault with a bamboo pole that he got wherever he took it from or borrowed it maybe. And then barrels like the 55-gallon drums. So I'm turning them sideways and rolling on the barrels and doing all kind of balancing stuff. So I didn't realize what he's doing. He's setting me up for a good future. All that exercise made me probably live as long as I'm doing now. I'm almost 77. Should have been dead a long time ago.
Jumping over the barrels.
No, stand on the barrel and sideways and then rolling across the yard
Oh
like they're
yeah,
doing a
yeah,
circus.
yeah,
That kind
yeah.
of shit. So that improves your balance. Unbelievable. Never thought it was like a training camp, but he did all of that shit for me. And then by the time when I was 10 years old, he was a boxer in the military, in the army. He was a master sergeant. He taught the other guys how to fight because he was so good with a hand to hand and knife. They didn't even send him overseas. They kept him in the Panama jungle, training other soldiers how to fight. That's how good he was. So he taught me how to fight when I was 10. By the time I was 12, I beat up my first school bully who was 15, 16, something like that. I beat the shit out of this guy. I was covered in blood. I was throwing combinations at 12. So my
You
father was
remember
a
that
pretty,
too? Your first fight.
he was a good badass. Yeah, I was covered in blood. So after that fight, I said, people used to fight in the schoolyard all the time, and the principal or the teacher would come out and stop the fight. The best part didn't even start yet. So I said, tell you what, why don't we do this? At the end of the schoolyard, there's always like a water house. You know what I'm talking about, right? The little one-story buildings.
Yeah.
So I said, why don't we all get on? The fighters get up on top of the roof. Everybody else stands around, and they can see most of the fight, but only when you're near the edge. First guy that gets knocked off the roof, instead of killing each other on the ground, the first guy gets off, wins. I mean, first guy that gets knocked off loses. So that actually picked up and started pretty good. So I claimed the responsibility of starting that. It was mine, all mine.
Yeah,
I want
yeah, but
credit.
you're pushing people off the roof. Like, don't they get
Yeah, but
hurt bad?
it's 10 feet. It's at 10 feet.
Yeah,
If
but
you're gonna
still,
fight on
that's
the ground, I seen guys getting fight on the ground, pulverized, they're almost dead. Once you get knocked off the roof, at least you got a chance.
I
So it caught on.
guess
It was pretty cool. I had a good time.
broken leg. You walk away with
Yeah,
a
it's better
broken
than
leg,
dying.
broken arm. Yeah, I guess. So, are
I
you
mean,
getting in trouble? Are you getting in trouble at a young age?
yeah, we started doing. I don't know, they probably still do it today. I don't even know. In school, I think it was in 10th grade. We had school rumbles. One school to another one had the big rumbles,
Oh
parking
yeah.
lots and schoolyards. So we were going to be fighting Island Tree School. So I was in wood shop. I learned how to make a ball of wood out of on a lathe because I took wood shop and metal shop. So made the ball, put nails on it. It's really nice, and a chain and a handle. I made my first mace, and that was going to be my first fight as in a rumble. Thank God the cops busted us that night because I would have killed somebody with that thing. I guarantee it.
Probably.
So I never got to use it, sadly enough. But at least I know how to make weapons now.
Yeah, and those rumbles, I've seen some brutal stuff. Some people getting hit
Yeah.
with bats in the face and things like that. It was pretty brutal.
Sometimes it's good to see the cops. They probably saved a couple of lives that night.
Yeah, probably. When do you first see or hear about motorcycle clubs?
That was a while after after before all that I started getting. I building the little models that you build when you're a kid.
Yeah.
I had like King Kong and Dracula and Wolfman, and then I had these little tiny metal tools like wrenches and crowbars. I used to heat them up with a pair of pliers and a cigarette lighter and melt them into the models, and then put Day-Glow paint on the wounded area, and then put on the black light. I was probably a little sicker than usual by the time I was 13, 14. And then they would glow in the dark. It was pretty cool. My parents come upstairs and like it was like another planet because it felt like you were floating. All you could see was the paint, the black ceiling, a lot of day glow threads going back and forth to the posters. So they realized there was probably something wrong with their son, but didn't pay much attention to it. And then I realized that the glue was giving me a buzz. So I started doing glue in a bag, come home at night, when the lamppost lights one came on, peeling the glue off my face like a zombie. And then I found my father's Valiums. He had a lifetime supply. So my gateway drug was probably glue. Probably Tesla's glue was good for a long time. Then they put mustard, like a mustard glue in there to make you cry or some shit. So I stopped doing that crap and graduated to just smoking pot and all that crap. You know, but a little at a time. I wanted to do it the right way, step by step, so you don't miss anything.
So
Then I
you
got
got
into
into
bikes.
substances before you got into motorcycle clubs.
Oh God, yeah, way before that, man. And then before then the bike I started at 15 years old. Before the club started, I got locked up quite a few times. I ended up doing like almost 7 years for
For
different
what?
things. Like
What did you get locked up for, and what was it like going to prison back then?
it was a lot easier, I think, than today. The first one I was busted was selling to a cop outside of a bar. Some piece of shit that I knew sent me up to the cop, said this is my friend. So I sold a couple of things to him, a couple of $25 bags 2 or 3 times, and then I got popped. Went to jail, I think it was the 505th guy to go to Otisville Correctional Facility for in 19, God, I don't remember, 1970 something early. So I did time over that. Came out again. I had a couple more little busts like burglaries and shit. Then I got busted again for a gun, 1976. So went back to jail. I was out, went back to jail again. So I was out of jail once for 2 weeks, went right back in again. And then once for about 2 months, went back in again. By the time I went from the army, I'm sorry, I forgot about the army. That's when I got into heavy. That's when I started shooting.
In
I
the
was doing
army?
acid. And yeah, I got military. I got drafted in 1969, and I was introduced to heroin by a little Mexican guy who was in our barracks with us. I snorted it the first time. I'm like, wow, what a. And if you throw up on it, you know it's good because your body's getting used to the poison. So the second time I did it, I went to the bathroom shaking like a little girl, hoping that I did it the right way. I shot and it was like going to heaven, I guess. It was amazing. That took the place of sex. It was so good. So I started selling open. I started selling mescaline, acid. I had I used to take the older brothers would come into the barracks. And this was the time when the Black Panthers were very active. So black and whites had a big problem with each other. But these guys would come up to me and they were buying from me. Trouble is, that was so good to them. I go into the bathroom, I take shoe polish, government issued for my shoes, and I take sandalwood incense and I roll them in a little ball and make and sell $10 a ball. I did it for months. They were kept on buying stuff. But one day they came back, there was like four of them. They're walking in and I thought I'm gonna get my ass kicked. So took a stance ready to do the best I could. They go, take it easy, Cool Breeze. We just want some more of that stuff. So be right back. Stay here. So we're hanging out with some friends of mine. And I went to the bathroom and rolled up a batch more. So I did that for quite a while. We were doing it for a while. Just banging a couple of whacks by the Golden Gate Bridge on the big grassy area. We're doing running around naked the whole weekend. What a blast. Things were great in the 60s and 70s, man. I don't care what anybody says. Better than the crap they have now. So, by the time I got out of jail, I always wanted to start a bike club. Always. As long as I can, as long as when I started first riding.
Yeah, but when you go to
So in
jail, is
19,
it segregated in there in the prison? Like, what was your prison
mm,
experience like?
I was at, I think I was at like maybe 11 or 12 prisons by the time I got done. Because every time you go in there, you get a fight. If it's a serious one, they ship you to another prison.
Yeah.
Started in Nassau County Jail, went to Sing Sing, Comstock, Donamora, which is Clinton, all over the place. I got a list of things. Can't even remember half of the names. But every time you have a fight, and the rest of the stuff is in the book where I threw a couple of racial slurs out, so I'm going to leave those out of this. You want to buy the book and read it? I promise you won't be. Well, you got a book on the way. Anybody
Yeah,
else
and
wants
I'll
to get
put
it?
a link. I'll put a link in the description of this video for the
I
book.
appreciate it, man. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no
Like,
doubt.
yeah, just in case I carried it with me.
Cheatin the Reaper.
And the things I've learned.
That's a really good
Like my
name.
wife's, my wife said throw me in that because otherwise I'm bragging about beating a reefer. So it was a small move. So I got out of jail in 1980. I always wanted to I always wanted to start a bike club. One of my guys that became my friends in a bar was a bouncer in a couple of bars. He took me down to Third Street, to HA, to get permission to start a club. I understood that was the right way to go. I knew about clubs, but I didn't know how to start it. So I got sanctioned down there. Butchie said, hit the gavel on the bar. Said as many members as you want, no questions asked. do you want AMA or outlaw? I said, I want outlaw. I want a 1% because I want to make sure if there's a fight with the outlaws, pagans, or anybody else, the warlocks, that whatever the other club is, I want to make sure that you got my back and I got your back, and I'll always be there for you. That was it. So I started with 3 members because it was called the Restless Few. By the time I got done, I had 35, 40 people down in Queens, and another chapter up in Marlboro, New York, had 88 members all told. So I did pretty good in spite of a couple of years. Unfortunately, the guy upstate was bringing in quantity instead of quality. So I had to beat up a couple of my own members and rip off the patch off the back, stomp them to the ground, and just beat the shit out of them. They were stealing within the club. You can't have that shit. You can't.
No.
If we all got along and didn't fight between all clubs, it'd be a lot easier for everybody. But everybody fights for territory, just like the mob. They fight for the territory for guns and titty dances. That's where the money is. That's why there's so many conflicts between the clubs. That's all it is. Period. Which makes the hatred. Money. Oh, it's always money, man. Always. So
People coming into your
I
area, they don't like it when people drive through your area, go to the gas station, and
any place. But one of my guys, my patch was a gold background, gold like a gold yellow with red letters. And he went out to Midwest, ran into the same patch color, wasn't I'll think of it, man. But they blew his head off with his shotgun, sent it and his body, sent his body back. Somebody picked up the body and brought it back. He was buried with his closed coffin. The El Diablos? That doesn't sound right. I'll think of it. But it's a gold background. You can look it up. Gold background with red letters.
did you
And
have
and they
a lot of conflicts with other clubs?
I was president for 7 years, but I moved up from Queens up to upstate. I retired because you can't run a club from 60 miles away. So we only had very few conflicts that were simple enough. One particular one was in a bar. Well, one of the guys with a patch, I'm not going to throw any names out, was stabbing one of my guys on both sides of his hips with double knives. I grabbed him by his ponytail and punched him, knocked him on the ground. Then I pulled my knife out and I cut off his not a ponytail, a braid. So that kind of tells you who he was. Took his braid off. I got it in my garage on the wall. It's a trophy. And then we got out of that bar real fucking quick because the cops were already on their way. But a few fights, nothing crazy.
And
Not like
you were a
some.
big dude back then. You were a really big dude to
I was
show.
220 pounds. I had a 21-inch neck, a 23-inch arm, and a 32-inch waist. When I came out of prison, I was big. I just maintained it for another 33 years. Everybody thought I was doing steroids, but I was lifting like 4 or 5 times a day, doing 500 sit-ups a day. I challenged the guys in the gym one day, the West Point football team. So you guys are doing steroids. I'm not. I said, let me see if I can handle what you guys do. They did like on a leg press machine with the weights, they did 1,000 pounds, maybe 1150, 1200, 1225. So I took the plates off and they're laughing at me. I warmed up with 1,000, put them back on and did 1410 twice. They shut right the fuck up. It was good. But I used to beat up wife beaters and child molesters. So that's why I stayed in shape for a long time. A lot of money in
What,
that.
on the
And the
street
cops,
you would do that?
yeah. And the cops don't want to get involved in domestic problems. I did it till I was 55. That's like 20 some years
So
ago. Now I'm
tell me
77 now.
walk me through a couple situations where you did that.
They're all a lot of fun. One guy was in somewhere out towards Long Island, maybe Queens. I banged on the door. I had my kung fu teacher with me because he's the one that got me into the collections and beat ups. He was a little badass. He just died recently at 80 years old. One of the toughest guys I ever met. 5'5", like a fire hydrant. And I said, do me a favor. I knocked on the door. The guy comes to the door. He owed a lot of money to somebody. I said, can you tell me where this address is? I had a piece of paper in my hand. He opens up the door. Big mistake. I grabbed him by the wrist and I said, got you, motherfucker. I pulled myself inside. Charlie came in behind me. We dragged him down to his basement where there'd be less neighbors hearing him when he screams. So it was kind of quiet down there. I put tape on his mouth, taped him to a chair with his arms and legs, arms and feet, and then tried to get the money from him. He owed about 4 or 5 grand, I guess, to somebody. And then he's mumbling. I said, I'll take the tape off. If you scream, I'm gonna stab you. So open up his mouth and said, where's the money you owe so and so? He said, go fuck yourself. I put him down. There was a dartboard in the bar that we were downstairs. So Kung Fu Charlie takes a dart and throws it at him, hits him in the shoulder. So now I'm starting to laugh, having fun. So I said, "You ready yet?" Go, flog you. So I took one, I stepped, and I shot him in the chest with another one. Charlie got another one in his arm. By the third one, he was ready to talk. Pulled the tape off. I said, "If you scream, you're gonna die." I was only kidding about dying. So I took the tape off. He goes, "The money's right there over the pop in the little metal box, you assholes." So I took the money and there was like 3 or 4 grand in there. So we took out what was owed, left the much, left the rest of it because we're not pricks. We're businessmen, nothing personal, just business. So I don't know. I'll give you the last one. The last one was the best. There was a lot of simple ones like parking lot beat ups and shit like that. Not all collections. Collections are hard to do. The people ain't got the money, you can't get anything. A beat up is a beat up. You got paid for it in advance for 2 grand. You send over to beat the shit out of the guy who did somebody wrong, like a guy that beat up his wife. I used to beat up wife beaters and child molesters, and I loved it for a long time.
Yeah, but
I'm
if
not in no
if
shape
someone
anymore.
owes money, you could just get collateral from them, like their car or something like that, right?
Well, then you gotta, then you're holding on to a stolen car, and you're risking a lot more shit. I was already a 2-time felon, convicted felon, so you don't want to be caught with people's cars. I took the credit cards and then went shopping a lot of times because they had money. And what are they gonna say? I mean, they can't do much about that. And they gave me the credit card when it was back. They paid, so that was pretty good. The last guy was a real scumbag. He was about big slob, about 350, and he was beating. He beat up his wife and then raped her and then raped his 6-year-old stepdaughter. And that's what made me fucking crazy. I wanted to put him in the ground. I could taste it. So she goes, "Billy, I want you." She goes, "I called the cops and they said they can't help me. It's a domestic problem." That was going on for a while. Probably too much paperwork for these guys. So I said, "I tell you what, I'll be there first thing in the morning." She called me late at night. I said, "I'll be there first thing in the morning." So I went over there. I kicked the door open. He's on the couch. He goes, "What the fuck?" I said, "Shut the fuck up." I punched him in the mouth. And I had a stun gun in my left hand that the police department gave me for my birthday, and a big aluminum bat, which I still have. I said, "Shut your fucking mouth." I said, "You like beating up women and kids?" So I started pounding the shit out of him. I took his arms out and his legs out with a baseball bat. Then I just put the bat on, threw the bat on the floor and started punching him in the mouth and smacking him like a little girl. Now he's starting to cry. I said, "Now you're crying?" I said, I'm crushing his nuts with my knee and I'm smacking him like a little girl. I'm saying, "How do you think your wife felt when you were raping her and your god and your stepchild, you piece of shit? So I want to put you in the ground, but your wife just wants you beat up." I said, "Next time I get a phone call, I'm guarantee I'll take your life." He's fucking crying and crying. So I grabbed it. He's like, he just gave up. I grabbed his keys, took the lady and her child and in the suitcase. I walked him to the car, grabbed his keys. They stole his car and they left. Never saw him again. I got $2,000 for that. She paid me right in front of his face. So that's a lot of fun. Those kind of things.
And back then, you could get
But
away with something like that, but nowadays,
yeah,
you ain't
exactly. That
getting
was
away.
20 some years ago. You know what?
You ain't.
This is how much you could get away with a lot of shit a long time ago. In the 80s, when I came out of jail, I started hanging around in a police fireman's bar in the city. I can name it because it changed hands a long time ago. Suspenders. It's a notorious bar. There was very few fights. Like one night, the cops came in from they graduated from the uh the academy, and one asshole was drunk already when he came in. There's about a dozen of them. He shot a bullet into the ceiling. I said, "What are you fucking?" Now, that's when I was big. So I took my knife out of my sheath and I threw it into the pickle barrel so I don't want to get busted fighting cops with a knife. So I used to sleep upstairs. A waitress used to let me sleep there once in a while. No sex, just purely friendship, a place to crash. Because sometimes sex will ruin a relationship. No, all the time it will.
Yeah.
So I went and tackled the guy. The gun flew out of his hand. They're clubbing the shit out of me. I said, "Dude," I said, "that motherfucker shot the gun, not me." So my knife was in the jar. My sheath is empty. I pointed at my knife sheath. So they grabbed the guy and they drag him out. I found that he got kicked out of the force later. But that ball was like all the time was like crazy shit like that. But the cops would come in and buy my they buy my coke. In the 80s, everybody did coke. Everybody. Movie stars. So the New York City cops that I love these guys, they were great, man. They come a couple times. They come in and go, "Billy, get out, go out the back door. We're about to bust the place." So we found out somebody else is selling here. They bust the guy, and then I go back in the bar.
So
They
when
used to
they're
come in
off
the bar.
duty, they're buying it
No,
from
on
you.
duty, but they're ready to do a bust. So
No,
they let
but
me
when
leave
they're
because
off duty, they're buying it from you.
yes, they'd come in with the regular clothes. and I had a system. I read a lot of shit in the library in prison. They come up to me and they come up to the bartender and they say they give a sign like they pay the bartender so much money. Everything was in half grams. So the bartender would go like this. That meant 3 half grams. So he'd have a drink, and while he's in the bar, and it was only 3 cops, never anybody else I dealt with. I trusted these guys, but one at a time. That's the key. So I go into the bathroom. I put them on the sink or on the hand dryer, the dryer, the towel. Put them on there, and then stand by in front of the door. Make sure nobody used the bathroom. I was big enough to do that. Anybody wants to pee, go in the bed, go in the ladies' room, get the fuck out of here. So they come out. He'd go in the bathroom, come out with it, buy me a shot of tequila and a Heineken, and leave. Did this for a few years, and I had no problems ever with these guys. What a difference in the cops that busted me, man. So that was the most money I ever made. I think was selling.
And for
I
any of
guess I
the
gave that
people
up.
watching, right, that don't believe you, this is what he used to look like.
Yeah, it took a long time to get that way. You know what? It took, how long it took to look like I do now? About 3.5 months of radiation nonstop. It melts right off you. I lost everything, man. I don't even want to stand up anymore. I'm a bum. I can't even look in the mirror. Get sick.
But
All my
you
shirts,
were
all the clothes I get. Yeah,
you were
that
a
was when I
big
was
fucking
51.
dude, huh?
The one that you showed before, the day I had cancer, and my wife goes, "I think you got cancer." That's 51 also. She goes, "I think you got cancer. I looked at your blood test." I said, "Tell me that again and take my picture." I screamed at the camera, and that's why I got that other picture. That one right there, 60 years old, 59. And I found out I had cancer that day. I said,
So
"That can't be." I said, "I feel great."
this is the day you found out you had cancer.
Yeah. So I just left the gym, but a couple hours before. So I felt great, and there was no clue. She read the blood test, and she goes, "I think you got it." I'm looking at. She's pretty smart, man. She knows something about everything. Apparently, she's so smart. I'm wondering why the fuck is she still with me after 40 years? It's not 41.
So
So
what kind
it's
of
like I
cancer
said,
did
every
what kind of cancer did you have? Do you have?
prostate from 2007. I got prostate. I still got it. So I've been fighting this for 19 years. Now I had that. Now it's in the bone. So I got prostate cancer. I also got it in a bone. So I'm going for more radiation pretty soon. But I got that. I
Damn.
had a couple of strokes, a couple of heart operations. One of the strokes was a fucking doozy, man. I mean, I got pictures. Should have sent you the picture of the strokes. One of the strokes was the size of your fist. I was driving a car. I couldn't even get to the hospital. I had to pull over. When you're a child, you blow into a garden hose and you turn it on and you hear like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard the blood is passing my ear and stopped. My hand fell off the wheel while I was driving. I'm like, that's got to be a fucking stroke. So I drove to the hospital, maybe like 10 miles an hour. All of a sudden, I could see little pinholes where I couldn't just barely drive. Like when you take the binoculars, turn them backwards. That's what I
Yeah.
saw. Get to the
Yeah.
hospital. I looked and then my reflection my arm came back, but I subconsciously remembered that. But I looked in the reflection of the mirror when the window when I got back out of the car, and my face was like this. Now it's that bad. I go into the emergency room. This dumb in the emergency room goes, "Can I help you?" 5 times. Look what the fuck is wrong with this chick. I couldn't speak. I couldn't whisper. Nothing. Finally, I take my phone out. I'm trying to call somebody. I forgot how to use a phone. How to push a button. My wife's name. It's got worse and worse. So she finally goes. Uh, I said, I go like this, pen and paper. So she give me pen and paper. This is the letter S. That's a T. I couldn't even write a fucking letter. So I know I'm in trouble. So I ended up, she goes, "You want a wheelchair?" That's what got me through the door. The doctor gets me, he seen what was happening and sent me to another hospital. So I got lucky with that shit. But the strokes and the heart operations, takes a lot of shit out of you. Now I can't go
Yeah.
to the gym. I went one day in 19 years, thinking I could get back to maybe looking half decent. I went into AFib, held onto a machine for 20 fucking minutes. So I'm done with that shit too. So I'm gonna stay tiny for the rest of my life. I went down from 225 down to 165, 160.
And
So that's the way it is, man.
does it break your heart that you can't go to the gym anymore?
Fucking, I used to go, yeah, I used to go 4 times a day. Sorry, 4 times a year. Hold on. See, that's the stroke. 4 times a week, 4 hours a day. Took a Saturday and Sunday off, and I took Wednesday off. And I did 500 sit ups, crunches for 19, 20, 35 years. a day, 500 crunches a day. That's why I had abs like that. But I stayed in shape because of the white beating up, white beaters and child molesters. You had to stay in shape for that shit, just like training for a fight. That's what kept me in shape. The jobs I did. So yeah, I missed that. I missed that a lot. I can't even ride a bike anymore. After the second stroke, I converted my bike into a trike because I wanted to still ride. The nickname is Billy the Biker from the radio shows I did. So now I got to change my name to Hot Rod Willie. Don't have the same fucking ring, but but I can't get my leg over the seat anymore. So I'm going to be selling that pretty soon too. 65
Oh
grand. I got that
man.
into the bike. But
Damn,
yeah. A
man.
lot of shit breaks your heart. A lot of it breaks your heart, man. But it's the way it goes.
So I'm gonna show you some pictures and you're gonna tell me about the time they were taken and what they
Hmm.
are and like what was going on in your life around that time. Okay.
Sure. To the left, that's me. The big guy next to me is Tiny. He just died about a year ago. He was the president of Bishop's Motorcycle Club. The guy next to him, Shorty, the big wide guy, the bald head,
Yep.
was my best friend. He died 4 years ago. He was in the Hells Angels for quite a while. And I'm sure you recognize Chuck Zito. I brought all four of them guys, came in WPDH radio studio with me in Poughkeepsie because I was on radio for 23 years doing charity. I do like bike reports and motorcycle runs and car shows, anything to raise money for cancer for kids with cancer. I did that, then started getting involved in people that maybe lost a house in a fire. Then me and my wife would go to the radio studio. I didn't belong to it, and I didn't get paid for it. I used to volunteer to go down for these things, for these shows I did, or these segments, if you want to call them that. And we gave them the guy and the girl bike, bike jewelry, leather jackets, pants, shoes, boots, everything to help them get back on their feet. So we did that for quite a while.
Yeah.
29 years on PDH. And then Wall Radio and WGNY oldie station with my good friend Van Ritchie, who died a couple of years ago too. So I did that stuff on the radio for a long time, 30 something years.
What made you want to get into that?
I like helping people. After I got done, I couldn't beat people up anymore. I just started, well, I was beating them up doing that too, but I found out it was more rewarding helping people. Big Mike, who you spoke to, uh, uh, he did a benefit for me one day after my second stroke. He didn't meet me before, but he heard me on the radio for years, helping everybody that I could by doing these things. He goes, I finally went to a diner and met him. He goes, I was still kind of big. He goes, you don't need my help. He said, you're fucking big yet. I said, I'm sick, dude. I said, what do you want to do? We sat down and talked. He said, I want to do a benefit for you. I said, no. 3 times I said, no benefits, please. I don't need that shit. Because I don't care what you say. I'm going to do it. He's a very stubborn man. He's a big guy, too. So bigger than me, can't fight him. So he did a benefit. 1,500 plus people showed up for this benefit. He rented
Wow.
uh, John Beard State Park, rented the golf course area, the restaurant. Him and his friends built 2 stages, had 17 bands show up, and 1,500 plus people showed up. A couple of
Wow.
gangs, a couple of bike clubs called up and said, "Billy, we can't make it. The cops have roadblocks." And I got a phone call saying the troopers got like an APB out that a lot of guys are going to be coming to your party, and you're a 1%er, and they probably have warrants on them. So they set up roadblocks everywhere just to fuck with us. Meanwhile, it's a charity thing. So some people just ain't got no class. So they did that. They said we got to turn around. We can't make it. We got stuff with us. We're carrying. We're packing and shit. So they all went back home. So it could have been another 1,000. People come up from Maryland and Virginia got turned around in the street from roadblocks because they couldn't take a chance. But Big Mike made this happen. And the next year, which was 2014, we sat down and talked. He said, "Why don't we do this, Billy? You're a veteran. Why don't we do this? Why don't we start a nonprofit? Call ourselves Y6. We have your six. Because we have your sixes, we have your back. Even the cops use that now. That started in the military. They're stealing everything from us. So we started that. We started helping the vets, male and female, and when they needed help with renting out wellness centers, deprivation tanks, vitamin shots, any kind of therapies they needed. A wellness center also has that wellness room, which you're surrounded by what do they call those pink salt rocks from
Yeah,
what the
yeah.
hell's that? That mountain
Himalayan
called.
salt.
That's the place. Yeah, right there. I got the book over there. Yeah, I was in it a couple of times. You do feel a little different. I didn't imagine it. doesn't cure everything, but you feel different when you leave it after an hour sitting there. So we had that for a while. Then we run out of funds because the government's not really helping us. But people give money here and there. So we also, so Mike's idea was open up another nonprofit called Combat Customs, where we take a vet, either male or female, and they build a bike with us in a rented garage. Which is, now that you're listening to this, I hope somebody out there has a building that's empty. They want, instead of sitting there empty, they want to donate something for us to use for a while. You will help us out hugely because we're still doing something with vets, a male or female that want to be a biker. We have an electrician, mechanic, welder, and fabricator. We got donations from everybody I can think of, including Shorty. Shorty, before he died, donated a ton of shit to build bikes. And then the vet builds the bike with our help. And at the end of the build, that we volunteer helping them. We give them the bike as a thank you. I'm sorry, as a reward, and then get him a license or a permit, and then send him on his way to send him back to what's left of society today, and then try and find him a job if we can too. So we've been doing that for since 2014. Was that 12 years ago?
2014.
Yeah, 12 years. So we're doing that good. But we're really looking for a building that we don't have to pay rent on. There's got to be somebody out there that has something sitting there, they pay the rent on it, and that's it. If they want to pay something like that, and we could take that over. If it's cheap enough, we can move to that instead of paying a lot of rent. If you're helping, you'd be helping us big time. And you
It's a good
donated parts.
idea.
Yeah, exactly. If you get donated bike parts, we're in the Hudson Valley near Wappingers Falls and Fishkill. I tell you what, I didn't give you my number. If you got something to donate, we'll come and get it. My number is 914-522-3771. I'm also on Facebook as Bill Bennett, Bennett. You'll see a picture of me leaning over the bike. That's the cover of my book. Same picture that you'll see on my Facebook page. If you can any kind of help like that, we'll take it. Because this is what we do with everything. We're going to keep doing this till we're all dead. And then we're going to pass it on to somebody else to keep it going. So we're helping a lot of people. And believe it or not, I can't believe myself. I'm having a better feeling helping people than beating up people, which I miss. But we're doing good now, man. We're doing really good. Thanks to Mike and me.
Shout out to you guys. And when I start selling my merch again, I'm going to be donating some of the proceeds to some veteran organizations.
Nice.
So I can help
Very
out
nice.
a little bit. So I'm going to show you some more pictures and we're going to get back into it.
Sure. Oh, that's I was AWOL from the army. That's my grandmother. She lived to 96 fucking years old. A couple of weeks after that, I'm playing with, I was talking to her, holding her pulse, and I'm holding her arm, feeling her while I'm talking to her, and she died in that chair. Felt the pulse go, and just like, oh God, I started crying like a baby. But I was in the army. I think I was 21 years old. That uniform with all the medals, Spec 4, radio operator. I was radio
Yeah.
operator, but I was in the 25th Infantry. It's what's called the Electric Strawberry. It was the shape of a strawberry with a lightning bolt through it. That was my real outfit. The one I got on there looks like airborne. That was one of my good friends that was in the army with me. And when I said I was in Oakland, California, tripping, doing acid and all that shit, he
Yeah.
come to me one night. He says, Billy, they're tired of you going AWOL every weekend, fucking the wax and doing drugs and selling drugs to everybody. They're gonna grab your ass, shackle you at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're gonna send you to Nam. They're tired of your shit. And I already filled radio operator school twice. That means if I go over there not knowing what I'm doing with Morse code, I'm gonna get a whole squad killed. Because the 10 guys that hung out with us while we were together going to radio school, they were doing something else, but all in the infantry. Eight of my friends died before I went back to school to do it again because I failed it. So 7 more weeks, they were already gone. So I did 7 more weeks. I was doing opium and acid. That's why I failed. So he says, Billy, here's my uniform. You got to leave here. 3 o'clock in the morning, they're going to come snatch you up and send you out of here. So I said, thank you. I appreciate it. I gave him all the drugs in my pocket. I said, thank you. Here you go. Have fun. I put it on. I jumped the fence that night to a spot where I used to go over the fence all the time, where the guards can't see you from the towers in Oakland Army Base, overseas replacement. So I jumped on a plane. All I had was in my uniform was a needle and 7 bags because that was my stash for me. Nobody gets that stuff. That's mine. So I jump on a plane. I go to Idaho and hanging out for a while. I went into a deli because the people I was hanging out with, friends from high school. That's 1968 we graduated. So they had no money to buy any food. They were holding this check from the Air Force. I had very little money in my pocket. I said, let me go to the store and get you some stuff. So I went a couple of blocks away. I had my uniform on with a pair of fry boots. They used to be like look like motorcycle boots. They were called fry boots at the time. And I said, I walk in there, I put a ragu spaghetti sauce down my boot. I put a pound of spaghetti down my other boot and a London broil down my pants. But my pants were khaki colored pants. Big mistake. All of a sudden, by the time I start walking to the door, the manager snatched me by the arm. So the punk kid in the deli section fucking ratted me out. He said, listen, I see you're a military guy. He said, I'm not going to call the cops on you, but you can't come back in the store. Get the hell out of my store. I'm taking the food out of my body, out of my pants and shit. So I'm walking by. He's walking me out of the store, and the guy that ratted me out is in the deli section, and behind the counter is a motorcycle helmet. So I looked at the kid. I go, your mommy's not going to see you tonight, motherfucker. You're as good as dead. And I walked past him, and I realized that helmet belongs to the bike that was outside. It's a little 250 Kawasaki, and the keys were in it. This guy was just asking for it. So I walk outside. I didn't start the bike. I grabbed it, walked around a couple of blocks quietly, got to my friend's house, took the front end off, and stood it up behind in the back of the back of the U-Haul trailer that was half packed already. So in such a small area, where if the cops do come, they're going to see that there can't be a bike back there because we're standing up. Covered it up, and then 2 weeks later we came home. By the time I landed in Levittown, Long Island, I put the front end back on and started riding home to my mother's house. I had no place else to go. I pull up. I'm driving through the neighborhood. Cops are chasing me through. One cop chasing me through the neighborhood. I'm going through yards that I remembered. I was going like almost 2 years. Not much changes really that time in the '60s or the early '70s. So I'm driving around through neighborhoods and shit. I finally get to my house. My mother goes, "What are you doing home?" I said, "If the cops ask you, you didn't see me." I kicked the gate open and put the bike in a shed in the backyard. Come in. She goes, "What the hell are you doing home?" So I explained what happened and shit. I got away with everything. And a couple of weeks later, maybe a month, some other douchebag that I was hanging around in the neighborhood told the cops that I had a motorcycle in the shed that was stolen. I got busted for that. Did 10 months for that. But it was still a lot of fun.
They turned you
But
in?
yeah, he did. So later on, we did a burglary together because I figured maybe he changed a little bit because and we were both stuck on. Did a burglary. I got popped again because he gave me up and did a year or something. I think another year I did in Nassau in a county jail. That's why it's only a year. So I went out and I bought a crossbow. And was with my first wife. She goes, "You got to put that back in the store. I know why you bought that. You're going to kill Paul." I said, "Damn shit, I'm going to kill Paul." Well, I knock on his door, put an arrow right in his fucking head. So she goes, "I'm going to call your parole officer. You do that." So I took it back to the store. They wouldn't give me my money back. So I took it and put it back in the back room. So being I got ripped off, I stole the $30 Bowie knife, put that in my back pocket and walked out. So what kind of even? So I did that. Paul goes back to jail. He did three armed robberies and three bank robberies while he's out again. I didn't get the chance to catch him, but he went back to jail. And some chick I met at a party shortly after that says, you know what happened to Paul? I said, no, where was that motherfucker? I'm looking for him. He's back in jail. He said he was given and died of AIDS in prison. So I said, good for him, man. Piece of shit.
What?
Hey, everything
Really?
happens for a reason, right?
What type of stuff would you make people do when they prospected for the club? Was there
No, we
like
weren't
tests
crazy.
was there tests that you would put people through and things like that?
Nothing really crazy. Just, hang around for a year, which is pretty appropriate for everybody. When there's a fight, making sure he did the fighting, show that he can stand his ground. And if one of us have a fight, making sure that he can jump into the fight. Speaking one-on-one is always fair. I like it. But if you got a prospect, he's got to jump in no matter who the fuck you are. And one of them would step back. I got to make sure that he's got the balls to stay in the club. Got to be able to trust him. But no, still 1%, but not as extreme as some of the guys that you got to piss on them and you got to kick the shit out of them. We didn't do that shit. We rough them up a little bit, but nothing crazy. I wanted quality not quantity. And I want to make sure that they were trustworthy and could take our back if needed. But that's about it. So
What do you think about how the direction the world is going today, where people selling
it,
patches and just letting people in clubs that aren't qualified and things like that?
that's why I got shut down by one of the guys. Big, I haven't seen him in a while. Tom the Bomb used to be an HA. Real nice guy, real good guy. 300 something pounds plus, big giant. I met him quite a few times. Last time I seen him, introduced him to my wife at one of the runs at Orange County Speedway. When the pagans showed up, threw a bag of guns down, started shooting. I already left before that happened, but he was a gentleman and everything else. When I retired after like 7 years after retirement, my club in Queens, the president that took over decided to sell patches for rent money so he could pay his rent. That's when Tom the Bomb came over and shut him down. That was it. And Tom was a good guy. When he found out I was beating up a couple of my own members, they would buy me drinks all night in the China Club. So it was a great night. They actually carried me back to the clubhouse. I think I slept on a pool table.
Why'd you beat up your own members?
They were stealing within the club. One
Yeah,
guy
that's
stole the TV from somebody, registration from somebody, pink slip, all that kind of shit. So I beat the shit out of him. So he had a coke problem. He also came to my house, and I see somebody knocked on the door. I'm standing behind the door. Well, so if it opens up, I had a samurai sword in my hand. If I see a hand come in, I'm chopping it right off because he knew there was probably some kind of in the house for him. This is one of my members. So I said, "You mother." So I said, I finally go, "Who is it?" And I hear the footsteps run away. I ran to the front window of my apartment and seen who it was. So that I said, okay. So I called Russell. I didn't say that I seen him. I said, Friday night, be at the bar. I want to talk to you about something. I can't be there. I said, be at the bar, or we're going to come to your house and drag you out of the house. So he shows up at the bar. Big mistake. I said, throw him in the van. I took him around the corner to a schoolhouse, a schoolyard. And I started beating the shit out of him. I said, you took TV, you took a couple of things from Bear's old lady. I said, and this is what happens to you. So I beat the shit out of him, stomped him to the ground. I'm trying to pull his patch off. It was sewn on so good, I couldn't get the fucking thing off. So I had to take his whole goddamn vest. So I'm stomping him on him. He's stepping on his legs, his face, his head. He goes down to Florida after that and ripped off a dealer down to Florida. And they cut his throat from ear to ear. So we never seen him again either.
oh
But
man.
as far as being rough with the prospects, to a certain degree, you're not nothing crazy, just trustworthy, and you can rely on them. That's it.
Did anyone try to snatch patches from any of your members?
Never, never happened, and none of us ever hit the ground.
Did you guys
It
get
don't.
patches from other clubs?
No, I didn't bother taking that shit. Then you get involved in wars. I didn't need that shit. I wanted to just have fun, have a good time. Shoot pool on a Friday, Saturday night, sell a lot of drugs, and then if there was a fight with another club, I mean, for another club, we'd jump in and help them all the time without throwing any names out there. So I don't have a problem with myself because I want everybody to buy this book. Even the enemy
Yeah.
can buy the book. See, I'm
Yeah,
a
I mean
smart businessman now.
you don't have any enemies now, right?
Not alive.
Tell me about this picture.
I was turned 51 years old. They wanted a picture for a magazine called Free Time Magazine out of Poughkeepsie, New York. I did a column about the things I did on the radio, the bike runs and car shows and anything involving bikers. So that was the picture that they ran in the magazine. So I took that picture and I put that in the magazine along with the other one that you've seen with the bike. Yeah, that one. So I did that, and then they'd have me go into different runs and talking live about the shows. I mean, sorry, about the car shows and bike runs. So that picture was always on Free Time Magazine in my column for about 18 months.
So you
That's
weren't
all.
in the club at this time, right?
No, I just got out of it a few years before that, probably maybe a half a dozen, maybe 7, 8. I missed it a lot, but enough is enough. That was when I had a lot of cars, man. That was the 1982 FXR. That badass Harley, the first 5 gear rubber mounted bike. It was fucking killer, man. I was doing 135 miles an hour cross country on a bike with a bathing suit, a Bowie knife, and boots, sitting on the back seat, making believe that somebody else was driving, going past people all the way to California from Queens. And '75 Lincoln Mark IV. I had two of those. That was my pimp car. I just collected cars. I had Trans Ams and Catalinas, all kind of crazy shit, man.
That is a
And,
nice
and,
bike.
and see them steps in the background. Them steps into my pond. It's a pond with a skull waterfall. When I still work in construction, Sammy the Bull Gravano was my boss, and
Yeah,
wasn't
tell me about
at the
that.
time.
Tell me
Well, Sammy
about
the Bull,
that.
that was John Gotti's hitman. At the time, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know who owned us. It was if you look it up, it's local 282. So I got those stones from Trump because every
Tell me
time
about when you
he
first get the job. When you
about
first
the
get there and what the job was like.
about the construction.
Yeah.
Well, I came in as a laborer, and well, that's right. I came in as a laborer. I was jackhammering in the ground and digging ditches and all that kind of shit. And once you get to the top, you're blowing the ladies' skirts up with a fucking air hose. Having a lot of fun. Still in a halfway house too, by the way. So I'm in I'm jackhammering the wall, and all of a sudden, some guy look up, and the guy's name was Charlie Moran, when the Irish mob was in charge of Local 282. Turned out to be my best friend, still is today. That was 1980, 1980. He says, "Hey, Billy, come up here." I said, "Who the fuck are you?" He says, "I'm a friend of your wife." That didn't even sound right. My wife was the president of the Local 282 secretary. So she was the private secretary. So I come up, we start talking. He drives me to Brooklyn, and he takes me on Greenpoint Avenue to a speakeasy. Remember the little places in the mob movies where you slide the little window open?
Yeah.
It's exactly like the fucking movies, dude. So it was incredible. So I look at him, the thing. He goes, "Come on, Charlie." So I walk in the place, walking past tables. There's little old men, sitting there sipping their Demi-Tasse cups and spaghetti and all sort of crap. I go to the back room and meet a guy. This is Joey C. So I could say it because Charlie, he's dead now, Joey. But I said he was a made man at the time. He was a boss, Joey Camerano Jr. So I said, he said, "Call me Joey C." So I sat down. He goes, "Listen, the job you had, you're done." He says, "I got the boss going to give you 3 weeks pay in advance." He said, "You leave, they don't come back. They're going to mail it to your house." He said, "You start here Monday morning." He gave me another job where I stand there and do nothing except check the truck driver's union card, making sure it's paid up. His union dues are paid in full. Then he can drop his load. Otherwise, kick him the fuck off the job. For instance, one guy came up, he had long red hair down to his waist, and a long red beard down to his fucking belly button, big fat slob from Pennsylvania. He was delivering the sheet metal that go on the floors when you're pouring the floors on
Yeah.
the open sites. I said, "Listen, I need to see your card. I'm the team's my job. I'm the team's foreman." He said, "This ain't your fucking job." So I pulled out a 22 and I stuck it up his nose. I said, "Now it's my job. Where's your union card?" So he gave me the union card immediately. I put the gun out and I wiped it off my pants and said, "This is no good." I ripped it in half. I said, "Get the fuck off the job." I didn't let him deliver. I used to buy fish
When you
line.
kick them off the job, you don't let them leave with the truck, right?
Yes, I did. And he couldn't deliver it. So now the job is set back. Make sure that the next time they send somebody that's like that's doesn't have an attitude. Or why is that? I
Oh,
don't need that
so
shit.
you let them leave with the truck? You don't keep the truck?
No, because then they get a delivery. I want to make sure that the place I'm working at finds out how serious I am too. So if I'm not there one day, they're not going to let a scab deliver. I mean, that's why even if I'm not there, they got to do the right thing.
Oh, so that's what they do. They try to get people who aren't in the union to deliver.
Stabs. I wanted to make sure my presence was known, even when it wasn't, like when I was AWOL.
Yeah.
But it worked. Did that for 15 years. Had a lot of fun. One day I had the trucks backed up on 5 avenues across Manhattan, 5 avenues. I said, "Listen, it's Sunday." They were delivering every day when they're working. I said, "It's Sunday. It's my birthday." I said, "And it's double time for Sunday. It's my birthday. It's triple time." I made that up. I said, "Before I leave, I want to check for triple time, but nothing gets in." They wrote me a check on the spot. So I went home and cashed it and let them deliver all day. That was good. So I'm not that bad.
So tell me about coming across Sammy Gravano.
I never met him. I never met him until I found out who he was and he owned us. Never met him personally. but he never killed anybody I liked, so he was okay with me.
But he was the person who was running that union, right?
And he made more money with running us than any place else he ever did anything with. And John Gotti was the president of the Irish mob, Local 282. When they pulled me in out of the joint. Matter of fact, thanks to Joey C, who was he was what do you call it? He was the boss in Bernardo Crime Family. Thanks to them, I started construction, making $80,000 a year in the '80s. It was incredible. Did it for 15 years. So I love mobs. They're wonderful. But Charlie's still a friend of mine. He's still alive. He's still working in the Teamster Union at 83 years old.
Is he?
So yeah, he's still a good friend of mine. He was working at the Tappan Zee Bridge for years, doing the same thing I do, checking the union cards. And it's an easy job. It's a tit job, man. A lot of fun.
All right, we got another picture.
That's the pic. That's the cover of my book. A friend of mine I seal coat parking lots and driveways now, top coat seal coating. So that's the picture on the cover of my book, and the rest of the cover was designed by one of my workers and friends. It's like a mugshot,
Is that one of your mugshots?
kind of. Yeah, you recognize him?
No,
You don't recognize him, do you?
no.
Outside the radio studio, I used to do my thing every Friday morning, and then a lot of times during the week. That's my bike. Roddy Piper, the wrestler, was on. So I
Oh
said, "Can I
yeah,
sit on the bike?"
yeah.
Yeah, you
Damn,
can sit.
man.
You're bigger than me, dude. So do whatever you want to do. So he's climbed on a bike, happy as a pig in shit. Died a year later.
That's cool. So
Good
what?
guy. Yeah, good guy.
He was at the radio station?
Yeah, I came in for an interview. A lot of people came into interviews. Ralphie made a comedian. Jesus Christ, and so many people. I can't even think of their names right now, but I'll
Rowdy
send you.
Piper. Haven't seen that guy in
If,
a long time.
after we're done, I can send you more pictures, but that might help you at all, right?
No, probably
That's my
not.
best friend. My best friend who died, Shorty, Big Hills Angel. 385 pounds that guy was. That was when I was 225. I got learned how to golf, and he taught me how to golf. But when I was 60, I was hitting the ball 315 yards. Something I never thought I'd like. But
How'd he pass
he died
away?
about 4 years ago. He died of ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Hardest thing to watch for our friend, man. He went from 385 down to 190. Couldn't even talk that loud. He was choking on food. And he told his wife, he died like a gladiator. He says to his wife, he said, listen, he says, if I stop breathing tonight, don't you touch that fucking machine. I want to die. And she let him go. That was it. So he died like a Viking. I missed the shit
Wow.
out of him, man. I don't even want to golf anymore. That's me, believe it. That's in the army. I came out for a furlough. I was a junkie there. That's why I'm so skinny. I was shooting Vietnamese heroin. The guys would bring bad heroin from Vietnam, and we'd buy the shit right there in the barracks. The best shit on the planet. Somebody lent me a 53 Panhead. Bike was gorgeous. He said, "You're gonna be dead in a month when you go back in." He said, "So I'll tell you what, take the bike for a month, have a good time." So I rode around banging some chicks in the neighborhood, and I gave it back to him. When I finally got out of the army, I saw the bike again. The asshole that bought it was painted it flat black. Oh, I should have killed him. There was a pearl white bike with candy color ribbon stripes. But that's 19 years old. Would already got a drug habit. Bad one, too.
That's great. Was there a lot of people that had the same problem as you?
Oh, God. Gorilla. Yeah, we had gorilla habits, man. We're doing all kind of crazy shit. In the 70s, when I was hooked really bad, one night, there's a lot of nights like this. One night, we were borrowing everybody's needles, back and forth. One night, I couldn't get a needle, and every time I bought some stuff, I needed to get off at the shooting gallery before I went home. I couldn't drive home. I was already like this shaking every time I went. Sometimes 3 or 4 times from Long Island to the Bronx and back, just to get another couple of bags. Cut a couple, sell them, and go back again. So I couldn't borrow anybody's. So what I did, I turned into MacGyver. I went to a Genovese drugstore. I bought a baby nipple. I bought a big pen, removed the pen, insert, and then I bought a basketball filler. You know how big they are, right? They're big. Went back to the thing. And so I went back to the thing. I put the nipple on the big pen, a wire bread tie, and then I filed down the basketball filler with some chick's nail file, and then a matchbook cover so I could make it as fine as possible. Stuck it in, and I got off. When I pulled it out of my arm, the hole was so big, it hit the guy's shirt across the table from me and shit. So I put my finger on the hole, not because I was bleeding, because I didn't want to lose the that was already in there. Anything works. And that was proof. But I shot
That is
Vicks inhalers,
that's pretty
inventive.
going to extreme measures.
Well, when you're shaking like that and you need a fix, man. One night we were doing in the East Bronx again, sometimes the South Bronx. We're shooting, and I'm leaving a few bags, and the car I had was my first wife's car, 64 and a half Mustang, which is worth a fortune right now. The drive shaft fell out. Didn't know what it was because I was still stoned, and it was on Boston Post Road in the Bronx. We're walking through the Bronx at 4 o'clock in the morning, only two white boys in sight. And I'm looking up, and people throwing bottles at us from the projects and shit. They buy beer bottles and soda bottles crashing all over the floor. Finally got to the White Castle in the Bronx, right by a junkyard. Everybody knows where that is. Hunts Point Avenue, White Castle. It was there forever. So it's already closed. Across the street is a gas station. I'm looking around for keys in the car. I go, come here, come here. I found the car. I said, this is perfect. The keys are in it. I started the car, get in the car. We drove all the way back to Long Island with the car. I said, shit, man. I got back and there's no license plates on the car. But no, I didn't see one cop. So I jumped in my car. It was a 63 Chevy. Went back with the station wagon I stole in my car. Went all the way back to 12th Street in Alphabet City. And I got one of the junkies on the street. I said, give me how much for the car? Give me $25. Give me 12 $25 bags. It was a bundle at the time. I got all that, gave him the car. Before I left the area that he was stripping the car, two guys had the windshield already out of the car with piano wire. One guy inside, one guy outside. They should have had a strip joint there. Regular a teardown joint, whatever the fuck it's called. Auto body shop. They were amazing how talented these guys were.
Yeah, chop shop.
It was
Chop shop.
exactly never a dull moment, man. We saw an arm sticking out of the sheetrock between the buildings. Some of the buildings are like really tight where you could just barely squeeze through. And I seen a hand and part of a wrist sticking out of a sheetrock. But it was sick. We needed a fix. So go in and buy the cops are outside. So we had to go around the other way, which is why we saw the hand sneaking the back way. There were guys with their pants down in the street searching them. But so when we walk past the hand again. The next day on the news, we're trying to find out where my friend's brother was, the guy I was with. On the news, that was the hand of his brother. They found him and turned out to be his brother. So didn't even know. We walked right past him, didn't even know it was him.
What do you go
All kind
in
of
there
crazy
and
shit like that.
over?
Yeah. They threw him in the yard. And they go throw him in the yard and cover him up with sheetrock.
Was there a lot of back then?
Oh God, yeah. The drugs were good. It was like China rock and Mexican rock and pink. Well, a lot of times the speedball is mixed, right?
Yeah.
So one night I tried something different because I had a fetish. I said my left arm. I said a couple of friends of me. I said do the my left arm. The other guy took it and did my right arm. Just wanted to see which would hit first because it's not the same. So eventually the hit first. I get up. I run into the bathroom. I threw a ball over the guy's toilet bowl, all over the wall. I had to clean that all up. I come back out. I said, whatever mess is there, I cleaned up. If you see anything, let me know. I'll get it. So we did that. We've only left a couple of minutes later because when you go to a shooting gallery, you can't just leave. You're sick and you want to make sure you're. So if you do get busted, at least you got a buzz before you left. That was the insurance. Just like robbing gas stations, what I'll tell you about in a minute. We on our way home, the started wearing off and they started kicking in. And right about passing the area on the parkway where Shea Stadium is, there used to be no guardrails, just a lot of dirt and mud, and it's pouring rain out. So, like I said, I always carry a set of works and a little bottle cap. So I did a 360 spin out on the dirt and mud. Shea Stadium is right in front of me. So it's pouring rain. I turned the lights off, opened the window, stuck my cooker out the window, got some rain, put some cook in it, a bag of, and got home. So I did it. It worked out pretty good like that. Everything's for a reason.
Tell me
When I
about the
used to,
gas stations.
that was a lot of fun. I did it for about 6 months. I had long hair, believe it or not, down the middle of my back, long blonde hair. I dyed it like not red, but like like a maroon, like a redhead, or black, or brown, or blonde, real blonde, and then go to the gas station. They never had money locked up like that time. They had it right in a box on a station's desk, and some kid working at night. So I used to gas up the car. Like I said, cover yourself before you leave. So I gassed the car up fully. I went inside. I borrowed a gun from a friend of mine. It had no firing pin. It was a German Luger. So I go on. Do me a favor. Give me the money. I want your boss's money, not yours. If you say anything, I'm going to shoot you. I want to kill you, but I will shoot you. So I duct taped him, his feet and his hands, laid him on the floor, put it across his mouth, and then duct taped his hands together on the back. I said, "You're going to get out eventually." I said, "But where's the money?" And he told me where the money was. I did that for 6 months. I got away with everyone. I never got busted once. So that money got me a lot of drugs when I didn't have enough to sell. I ended up shooting all of it a lot of times. So 6 months was a pretty good spree.
Yeah, it is. Tell me about
That's
this
a
picture.
that's a hell of a crew, man. It's Shorty and me in the back, a bunch of my friends in the front that are, I think all of them are still alive. I haven't seen a lot of them in a long time. The guy on the left, on the extreme left, the big tall guy is Bob Van Winkle. Guy's amazing. He goes all over the world. His job is to move statues and sculptures, priceless ones, all over the world. They sent him to Italy one day, and he was in a museum. They had to move this priceless carving or statue, and they didn't want to take a chance and break it. A lot of times they'll go, through the roof and take a crane, like a cherry picker, and move it. He was so much smart, and it was so simple, but he thought about it. He says, do this. He raised it up a little tiny bit with a forklift, so it didn't break anything, and slipped ice, bags of ice cubes onto all four sides, push it where it belongs, and let it melt. He got $53,000 for that job. He's got more money than he can ever count. But shit like that, this is what he did for a living. He went to different countries all over the world and did shit like that people couldn't figure out. So instead of telling him how to do that, he made a fortune. He's still doing
Yeah,
it today. He does welding for Donna Karen, that clothing chick, I think.
yeah.
He did a big giant gold horse for her, a big not a sculpture, but a welding. I got his first thing he ever did is in my front yard climbing a tree. It's a giant spider. It's about 7 feet long, climbing my tree. It's got a foam body and big black wrought iron legs. But he made some crazy shit. The first one he ever did, he made for me. He made it, but I got it now. So
So
he stole
so he's into welding, basically, right?
big time, man. He's got his sculptures all over the place. When I get a chance, I'll take a picture of the place he works at. He's dead too now. He used to come to the radio studio to go live on the radio. Lou Albano, Captain Lou Albano.
Is that you on the right?
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
hair once before.
Yeah. You look a little rough in this picture.
Well, I probably think I was drunk or stoned. And that was my said shirt. That's my Halloween costume. I said, I'm in the health department. She said, can you read it?
No. Oh, it's a spray bottle, right?
It says AIDS. And then the cloud says, kills fixed. I said, I'm with the health department. That's why I bought the shirt. It was Halloween that day. So after that was a big Halloween party. That's when I was president of the Restless Few. And that was my vice president. He died too. He died a while back. He had Agent Orange. He was a mess. He had quite a few things going on. He died
Did you
early. He had a
enjoy
month, a little.
did you enjoy being the
Yeah,
president of a motorcycle club that you
yeah, I
created?
did. It was nice. I was the big cheese, and when I said something, it went. So how can you not like that? I trusted everybody I was with. I trusted everybody except that guy that died. Everybody I trusted, we had each other's back all the time. And being the man in charge, hell yeah, it was a great feeling, man.
What about accidents and riding in a pack? What was that like?
The guy you just saw, Bear, he's crossing the street one night with a bike that I sold him for 3 grand. Old chopper. Should have gave you that picture. Everybody's looking. The bars out. People are outside. AJ's outside. Everybody's outside. He tries to cross the street. with his bike, with his patch on, and falls down in the middle of the street. I'm like, what the fuck? I felt like such an asshole. So I went out and picked up the bike, put him in the bar, said, "Don't ride until everybody leaves this fucking bar. You make a fool out of all of us." So a couple of months after that, I said, "I'm taking the bike back. You owe me $3,000 for coke." So I took the bike back, and he remained in the club, but no more vice president. Ended up just selling it to a friend. But there was maybe a couple of small accidents, nothing serious, because everybody seemed to know what they were doing. And I said, when you're riding, going someplace to ride, don't get too drunk, don't do too much fucking drugs. As long as you know what you're doing, I don't want to I don't want to kill each other. So nothing really crazy and serious. But the best part was when we do get to the bar, I'd have the drugs in my back left pocket and the money in my right back pocket, and two prospects watching. Anybody that wanted something that I knew, they would go help themselves, and then they put the money in one pocket, take the drugs out of the other pocket. Always a half gram. I did that for, I don't know, maybe 4 years. Never got popped, and there was always somebody watching. So that was a good setup for a while. Once you hand somebody something out of your hand, that's how you get busted. So I just didn't do it anymore.
How many prospects did you have at one time?
It was always two or three at a time, not too many, because then you can't really concentrate on having them do the right thing, or just getting the proper people into the club that you can trust. We had one black guy in the club. Not that I'm prejudiced, and I'm not, but his name was Pete. He named himself Shadow, so it's perfect. He ended up dying a junkie in Central Park. He traded his fucking Harley for a couple of bags of heroin. He died right there on the park bench. So some people just don't learn.
I mean, to
That, you
get
know,
you like that, man.
yeah, I mean, see, how do you sell a bike for a couple of bags of fucking heroin? Yeah, I think it was like a couple of two or three, they're like $25 bags. A nice big
Wow.
fucking Harleys. So that's sometimes it works that way, man. But now me and Big Mike are running a nonprofit. I help with the combat customs in the building. So now everything's running smooth. We're helping a lot of people and doing good. And I'm really enjoying what we do. Mike's usually running everything over there because it's the other side of the river. I'm over here still cutting my ass off all the time. I got 10 doctors. I got more doctors than friends. So things slowed up for me a lot. I really
So,
do.
what do you have planned for the future?
Not dying, hopefully. See what
I
happens. I'm
mean,
still dealing with cancer.
everybody has to die, right? Everybody got to take
Well,
a
yeah,
number and step up
well,
to
I'm
the
still
plate eventually.
I'm dealing with cancer again right now. So it's still with that. I got radiation probably coming up again. So I'll probably be down to like maybe 35 pounds when I'm done. Who knows?
What
Look,
made you
I'll
want
get
to
a
get the
couple of G's.
tattoo on your head?
What made me do that?
Yeah.
Well, I had long blonde hair, but down the shoulders, but it was so thin when I was still caught in a parking lot one day. I got sunburned. I said, "That's it. I'm not a guy that's going to do a comb over. There's no way it's going to happen." So I said, I went to my friend who's a barber in town. I said, "Do me a favor, Eric, shave it off. I'm getting a tattoo tomorrow." So he shaved the whole thing off. I got a tattoo the next day because I always wanted a tattoo on my head, something I wasn't sure what. So my friend, I said, "Just go berserk. I don't care what you do. Just cover the top." This was on the back of the head. You probably can't. And I couldn't even tell you how to show it to you. Let me give it a try. No, I can't do it. I got a tear out. I got a tumor on the back of my head. It's attached to my brainstem. I'll send you the picture when I get a chance. It's an eyeball and with big claws tearing out of my head. And the reason that is because I used to be a businessman. I'm a businessman now, but I used to be a fucking nut job beating the shit out of people. So that's the monster that wants to come out and play. But I don't do that no more. That's the story behind that. I had a picture of it, send it to you, but I don't. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. I got a picture right here, man. There it is. How's that? Look at that.
Oh shit! Yeah, yeah.
Can you see
That's
it though? Is
cool.
it bad?
Yeah, yeah. I can see it.
Well, that's the story behind that.
That's pretty cool.
Every tattoo's supposed to have a story.
Are you getting more tattoos on your head?
I'm on blood thinners for 19 years now. If I get a tattoo now, I'm just gonna bleed for an hour. So it ain't worth.
Yeah.
I'm done. I got about 20 something tattoos. My wife got 19. She got a whole back done. Help. She's a gorgeous Asian chick. She's got a back done. It's a dragon. zigzags in and out of the skin like a 3D. She designed the whole thing. Came out
That's
fucking
cool.
killer, man. But I'm done with that, dude. There's no more for me.
I'll leave a link in the description of this video for your book.
Oh, thanks. I
And
appreciate that, man.
I'll definitely bring you on for a part 2. We'll chop it
Oh,
up,
cool, man.
see how you're doing. I'll leave your contact information for if anyone
Mhm.
wants to get involved with the military thing and the veterans things that you got going on. I'll put your
Please
contact
do.
information in the description of this video. You want to show them your book before we go?
Yeah. I can even show you the card I have. The what do you call it card, man? My let me see if I get the
Cheatin
glare
the
off it. How's that?
Reaper.
That come out?
Yeah, Cheatin the Reaper. It's pretty dope.
Well, you know what? I have you said you're gonna do another comeback. I got one of my combat custom cards, Y6, but I'll send it next time. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, just send it to
How's
me and
that?
let me know. Definitely.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I'm glad I did this with you.
Go check out his book, and I'll bring him back on for part 2, and we'll get updated. He'll tell us some more stories. I appreciate you. I wish you nothing but success in the future. Keep fighting, man.
Thanks, brother. Have a great day, man.
If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too bad. Start your own podcast. Peace.